This is the reporter. Are we on the record yet?
Do I need to go back and repeat?
I've heard nothing at all.
Okay, sorry. We were still muted. Sorry. So I'm going to go back. Yeah, I am reconvening this, bringing back to order this meeting. We are now moving to our discussion and possible action on new school applications. I wanted to note a few things regarding the record we will consider for each school. The full documentation of the new school applications is posted to the PEC website under the 2024 new applications page. For each school, the record of the application process that we will consider is, number one, the application, which includes the executive summary, the application, the appendices, the facilities, 910B5 budget, the school's responses to the capacity interview, the peer review analysis, actually it should be peer review analysis, and the school's response to the peer review analysis. 3, the input hearing transcript, and 4, the final PED recommendation. I wanted to note 2 other things. We have also uploaded into the PEC meeting folder the letters that went to each school with questions raised on their application. That will also be considered part of the record. The CSD lead and the list of peer reviewers is uploaded to the PEC drive for commissioners to review. This folder 4, 2024 new applicant folder. Next year, the chart of this information will be included in the documents listed above. Okay. So, welcome once again. We are now on to tribal input. So I'm going to ask if there is any tribal entities that wish to provide any input. And no one signed up and there's no one online, correct? Okay. So we are now second phase, public comment on the application.
We don't have anybody signed up for public comment.
Online or here?
Online or here. We have Isaiah Holtree signed up for public comment, but he was here for the previous school, so I think
Oh,
that he has gone.
Okay. So now we are on to the 20-minute for the applicant team. So whenever you're ready, I'll just remind you to please, the first time you speak, state your name, spell it for the record, and then we're good. The green light has to be on the mic. You have to press it a little hard. There you go.
Very hard. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you. It's pretty hard, huh? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you to all of you for this opportunity. It's so nice to see you again. To all of you, we are still missing one of our members. She's on her way. All right, thank you very much. Mitzi, we send you something. We send you our presentation.
I have the presentation ready. Are you ready for me to start? I just thought, could you introduce each other and spell your names
right.
and then I'll start the
I
timer.
will, but I just want to be sure that
have
you
it.
got it. Okay, good. Like I said before, my name is Ana Perea. One of the founders of the Multilingual International School, born and raised in Granada, Nicaragua, with this dry accent of a Central American. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for being here and giving us this opportunity. It's important that you understand that we appreciated a second chance to be here. Your turn.
My name is Nicole Montague.
Nicolemo. Montague.
Leave it like that, okay.
I'll try not to break the microphone. I'm one of the founders of this school and, I'm grateful to be here. The application was, challenging for, me in particular. This, is a new format, but we have an amazing school and I'm grateful that you all are considering it for this little community.
Thank you. Oh, here we will, okay. I'm going to read some stuff, and you don't need to know this, but it's intimidating to be here in front of all of you all. So I just forgot about it. So the Multilingual International School, it is composed of 3 volunteers who see the need for a program that support students at risk and give us a choice to families in the Bernalillo area. The Multilingual International School will be on open enrollment school. Therefore, all the families who want a choice to their students can apply for the Multilingual International School International Baccalaureate Program. This is the part that you already know about me. What you probably don't know about me is since I arrived to the United States of America in 1995, I was a volunteer at Carroll Elementary in Bernalillo. So it's how I learned my English, through the kids. It's why I have a heart for Bernalillo. Your turn, please.
Pues, ¿qué le puedo decir? I am passionate about IB, international education. I can't believe how amazing it is. I have a child that went through it. I was a teacher in international baccalaureate program at an couple of amazing schools, but not as amazing as this one. This is a very good school. We have taken the best of our years of experience of a team of highly capable people, and we hope to add more as we meet the community and complete a thorough needs assessment with all of the elders and the community members that we might be able to draw into engagement in our school, whether they have children or grandchildren or they have some place in our school, and we would like to build it together with them. So I come with that kind of passion to this board.
Audio, please.
You didn't hear me first? Thank God.
No, ma'am, I did not hear you.
You didn't, okay. What I wanted to say is that I was not going to, I planned at first to read the mission to you guys, and I realized why. They read, they know what is happening there. So I want to give you some notes that I have here, that we will implement our mission through the measurement of formative and summative assessment, demonstration through assessment, and through assessment of the problem solving through portfolios, informing the academic community, showing reflections and actions through service to the community. International baccalaureate based, not using conceptual learning and high quality of education that by definition is relevant for the students, but also through community services. And it's what we have planned to do through our mission, a holistic education to all our students who participate of our program. Thank you, Ms. Missy. Again, our vision. Our team will implement multiple strategies to encourage community participation in decision-making, meetings, policy creation, in order to promote a healthy culture in the school and broader community, I hope, The Multilingual International School envisions enhancing career pathways, sharing goals, collaborating with other IB schools. That is the ultimate mission of all IB schools, to be connected somehow, not just locally with IB schools in Albuquerque and in other areas, but also internationally. And it's what I do right now too. We are going to collaborate with other educational institutions, fostering problem-solving skills and promoting empathy, something that we all needed lately in our schools. We believe that by involving a community in the educational process, our students can become more responsible global citizens. And it's what we want ultimately, that they understand that we all can be together, have some empathy, learn about what we are doing with our planet, and have high quality education, because they deserve it. We deserve together to have these kind of students. Okay, I wanted to talk about, we were discussing after we were revising everything that we were doing. I'm not there yet. Well, leave it over there because it's important. It's going to lead me there. And upon reflection, the team wants to or plans to launch a comprehensive program with a K-3 in the first year, and progressively adding a new grade every year up to 5th grade. That was a little bit different at the beginning. For over the 3 years of the program, following this establishment, we aim further to enhance our K-5 program during the next 2 years. Subsequently, when it is time for reauthorization, the academic community, the stakeholders, must decide if it is feasible to implement 6 to 8 or 6 to 10 to have the MYP program or middle year program that is approaching what we have originally in our application. We strongly advocate for collaboration with the traditional district, as it will enable us to ensure that our students we send possess the academic skills and the international perspective needed for both social and academic success. The involvement in this collaboration is significant, and I cannot stress enough, it's more than significant, it's essential, it's vital that we collaborate. And we are excited to work together. So I expect collaboration. It's what we wanted to do. This is not a competition. This is a choice to our students who deserve to have a choice. Mitzi, can you please go to the next one? Well, this is the reason why. And I think you guys are very familiar with it. So I was looking at last night around 11 p.m. our data, and I was revising it again. And I thought to myself, my goodness, there's so much room for improvement, and we can do it together if we collaborate and if we have the opportunity to collaborate. So I'm asking you to see that again, which is not new for any of you, and let's work together. Again, it can be cliche, but we deserve it. They deserve it. Why to deny this opportunity to them? The International Baccalaureate Program provides the students with access to challenging and rigorous core curriculum, which is critical to supporting English language learners' academic success, in addition to supporting language and literacy development. You can see the 4 other schools that provide with IB curriculum. It's right there. The mathematics and reading proficiency rates exceed state proficiency rates. Particularly notable is the English language learners in these schools. This is the same kind of opportunity, choice, and curriculum we want to provide to our students and families in Bernalillo, where there is a room for growth related to academic achievement outcomes. Likewise, with a Native American student population, we want to provide them local access to an IB curriculum, which has shown promising results elsewhere. I got emotional when I see those data, and I want to apologize about that. Thank you.
Can I say something here?
Yes, please.
Our main strategy through raising those scores is through language. When we validate the learner and their language, and they hear the language at school that is spoken by mommy or grandpa at home or in their community, school becomes an important place, and the brain relaxes and they're ready to learn. So simply by including the concepts in each of two languages throughout their typical day, and then adding maybe a third or a fourth language, depending on the support and the input and the needs that we gather from our community stakeholders, this in itself raises scores because the children are more engaged. And then our strategies, we have excellent curriculum that we have built. They can take advantage of it. They're more able to access it. And we also thought that by slowing down, we listened very closely to your comments, and Commissioner Beck made a good point when we met last time. And if we slow down, and we'd rather slow down and do it very well and implement K through 3, do it very well, then add fourth grade, then add fifth grade, and bring on the support that we need to in our different areas of addressing the needs of the children that we see arising. We will do that well, and then the community will be the ones that meet with us and call for an MYP, and that will be our next step. That is years in the future, but that's what we anticipate, because that's what IB School creates in a community.
Gosh, it's hard. Well, again, going to Commissioner Beck, I thought about what you were telling me, what we were discussing the other day. I'm sorry, you telling us. And I still thinking that it's possible and feasible to do it, but we have to take it slowly, because if it's going to be successful, it cannot be in a rush. And it has to be successful. It's a personal commitment. So PYP will continue in the period of the 3 years. We will reach up to 5th grade. And like I said before, we will continue those 2 years in the PYP, that is the primary year program, K to 5th. And the community will see our results, and they will ask for the MYP program, because we will do it. And I will be accountable for it. All the team will be accountable for it. So, and then I can dream about the diploma program, because I'm not going to let it go. I'm sorry, Commissioner Beck. I know that everything that I was talking to the trainings and my regional manager, IB, and it's ambitious. But if you don't dream, you don't have anything. So if I didn't dream, I won't be here facing you and saying, thank you. Your comment made me hold my horse and go back a little bit and revise what I have to be. Thank you for that. Lesson learned. Let me see if you can help me with the next one.
Next slide.
Will you continue with this one, or want me to do this one part?
I'm sorry?
I will touch this slide later on, but can you go to the next one, and I will be back. Yeah, that one. No worries. I didn't realize until that it was too late, and I sent it to you. So I would like to talk to all of you. I think it was Commissioner Byrd, the one who was, when I was looking at, she asked for the continuous with the community engagement. And we have established and we have contacted them. Some of them, more people, of course, but this is just referred to the pueblos. So some of them have been answered. The non-response obviously is in yellow, and the ones that have meet or have a communication are in blue. I do have a copy of the emails that we have shared. I don't feel comfortable to being published. But I do have, if any of you want to see it and read it, I have approved that they have been contacted and we have been communicating back and forth.
We can't, we have to make the decisions on things that are publicly available. So if you want us to look at them, it has to become part of the record.
We need to put that then. We don't have their permission.
And at this point in time, it's really not necessary, honestly.
Okay. We don't have their permission in.
No, so I think we can't do that.
Okay.
It's kind of a catch-22. I'm sure that your applicants run into it because we can't do certain.
I'm sorry, I'm struggling a little bit to hear you.
Get closer.
I will get closer. Is that better? We're running into the loop that it's a kind of a catch-22. We can't do certain things until we have permission to have the school and are granted the school. So we have stakeholders that are eager and waiting. And we have intentions of sites and places, but we have to wait till we get the grant. So there's so many things that are on hold because of something else.
Could the record please reflect that actually Commissioner Brower is here and Commissioner Manus has also joined us?
So our equity council,
Oh, wait. Missy, can you switch it?
this,
The one that I can switch?
so this is another piece that we have met with people who love the idea of a IB school in the community and are enthusiastic, but we need to gather clear stakeholders in the community who have their children, who have their grandchildren, who have their businesses and they're not leaving Bernalillo. They want to see Bernalillo increase, and the way to broaden the perspective of the children is through international education. So they're enthusiastic about it, but in order to gather them and complete what we would like to do is a thorough needs assessment and what the community would really like to see in their local school. That's what IB is, and it reflects the community, but we need to engage with the community, and to engage with the community, we need to have the place and the name of the school, and we need to have the school to go forward. So we're quite limited in this, but we know that we would do nothing without going forward, including all of the stakeholders that surround the school, that live with the children and the all of the educators and the people that will be involved in the school. This is a community school. It's by no means belongs to us or anyone else, and it will grow as a part of the community. So all of that will advance and will expand as we move into the process of our implementation year. And we will work out glitches that we are already beginning to kind of glimpse during our implementation year.
And also I would like to add this, that this has to be relevant for the students. So therefore, as a fact, we have to approach them with those pedagogical approaches and that guidance in order to provide what is relevant for them to learn. Thank you, Mitzi. Can we go to the next one, please? That one. Thank you. Oh, she's not here right now. Is she coming? She's coming. I would like to talk a little bit about this. The training and the duties. We will and we must follow the law, the requirements that it has to be. And it's saying no point here, because I have seen it, that best friend is the one who is part of the chairperson, and you sit in that throne doing nothing with a huge salary, and you're still in the same school doing nothing, and somebody else is doing something because you have your best friends around and you GC. I can guarantee you that that's not going to happen.
Let's do that.
The Multilingual International School International Baccalaureate, if you allow us to do it, it will be successful. And we have a time frame, and clock is clicking. And if you are not performing, and if you believe that you will not be accountable, or I know going to be accountable, whoever that is going to be, it's not be accountable for the results and the outcomes that it come, it's not going to happen. So it's part of what I prefer not to talk too much about this, because our chairperson is the one who wants to talk to you, but obviously she has been delayed. She's in the building right now. But I want that you be sure about this. There is not a dictatorship. You are in that throne and you don't move from there. This is going to be, and you probably will make us accountable too of what we are talking about it. And for God's sake, it's recorded so you can always pull it back. I want to say thank you to all of you for giving the Multilingual International School the opportunity of this presentation. I want to assure you that everything that we have here, everything that we are projecting, our application, everything that we were working together as a team is in pro to our students. This is not for us, this is for them, and you have the power to give it to them or not. So please take this into consideration and let's work together and let's be more than the 50 states in education and all that we can constantly hear it. And I can hear my sister-in-law telling me, or my brother-in-law, or my family telling me why we have a good people here. Yes, we do. We have excellent teachers. Let's provide good training, high quality education of our kids. Let's work together and just do it. Let's do it. And if it is not working, move it. We are accountable for what we do. I get a little bit passionate about it. And it's all, thank you to all of you for allowing us to be here.
Can I say something?
Oh,
I would just like to address quite quickly the concerns that were listed about
Audio, please, cannot hear.
okay, the governing council, better? Okay, the governing council is a built-in accountability system that should not be staffed by the best friends of anybody, but it's clear stakeholders in the school meet with the principal on a regular basis and keep the school accountable for our mission goals and the things that you said that we were going to do. And then as far as collaboration goes, that was a concern that was raised. Collaboration is built into our IB scheduling between teachers on a regular basis, vertically and horizontally. When I worked for Anna, we met 45 minutes a day, and I was required to fill it out. There's a place for it on the IB planner. It's required that I go talk to the coach and see how these concepts are being presented across the child's experience through the day. The coach, everyone that's engaged in the child's day, the librarian, the English teacher, the Spanish teacher, the other teachers, the math teacher, anyone who is not in the classroom already, I go find them or they come to me. And then that's horizontal and vertical planning. And then on Fridays, once a week, we would meet vertically. So I would get to talk to the next grade teacher. That teacher is really my target market, because she needs those kids to come in with minimum objectives and grade levels to start that grade on grade level in literacy and math, and at our school in biliteracy in 2 languages. So I need to know how I'm doing, and I need to hear from the grade before me. So that vertical planning needs to happen on a regular basis, and it's built into our program. I don't know if we were able to proliferate that on our application, but it's a core component of what we do in IB education. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Director?
Thank you. Multilingual International School Commissioners, I'm first going to go through the sequence of events that occurred that led us here today, and then I'll talk about the recommendation for this school. In January, we received a notice of intent from this school's founders. And this year, in addition to the trainings that we conducted for all that submitted a notice of intent, we held meetings to review and provide feedback on the notice of intent. Our message was consistent across the applicants. Respond to all the indicators, no shame in postponing and reapplying next year. The application was submitted on time, June 1st, and it was complete in terms of having responses to each of the sections. The application was reviewed by an external peer review team. Please note that there are different peer review teams per application. Reviewers get 10 days to read and rate the applications. Then they come to consensus. They interview the applicant team in a capacity interview with some of the same questions and some unique to the school. The preliminary analysis that was based on that work of the external peer reviewers was sent to the PEC and to applicants on June 28th. By July 8th, a response to the peer analysis was received by CSD and sent to PEC. On July 10th, the community input hearing was held at the Santa Ana Casino. There were lots of people in that room, many who spoke in favor of the lead founder in particular, who is a principal at another IB school nearby. PEC sent a letter to the school on July 19th, and the final recommendation from CSD was sent on August 2nd, taking into consideration all of the above. The CSD's final ratings differed from the peer reviewers on multiple indicators for this application. For this school, there were multiple indicators that the peer reviewers rated as does not meet when the response was really approaching. For example, there's no doubt, this is actually one where the rating moved from approaches to meets, because there is no doubt that the proposal would be unique and innovative, and that the IB educational program is excellent. Thus, the numbers that CSD concludes in terms of between meets and approaches criteria is 32, and the number that does not meet is 21. Altogether, there were 50 out of 53, however, that were either approaches or does not meet. Despite this, CSD has concluded that the application is incomplete. Although each section was addressed, there were indicators where not all the elements were present, and more details would have helped. The plan to open up the full K through 12 in the short phase-in period was one of those examples, and the founders just proposed a different phase-in plan than what was presented in the application. I don't know if the PEC wants to take that into consideration. I am following PEC's policy, which my understanding is that the application as submitted is what you take into consideration. But there were some reflections with the last applicants that maybe raised a bit of a question on that. The financial plan in this application needs someone with expertise to complete it. And here's where I want to speak to equity. There was no equity in the new school application process. Everybody was treated equally, but we know equally and equitably is not the same. And so because this is an incredibly rigorous process, one or three people working on it is just not enough to have a thorough and complete written application. So we could talk about the written application versus the innovation that is being proposed versus the community demand and capacity. As mentioned earlier, there has to be demonstrations of community support for the charter. And I understand that that might take time, especially when we're talking about engaging Pueblo communities who work on their own timeline. I wanted to mention that I've been doing a lot of reflection and having done this work for 20 years. When the Public Education Commission first had the ability to approve new charter applications, there were no external peer reviewers. CSD did it. CSD had the capacity because they didn't have a portfolio of 60 some schools to oversee. But yes, as an admin A, I read an application and made recommendation. That was part of my job. And I remember one of the applications of a charter school whose name I will not mention, but whose students performed at our conference. I thought the application wasn't very well written. And I wanted to suggest perhaps that was the reason for not approving that application. But we took a chance with that application. And for those that were sitting by me at the conference, I did leave the room in tears because what a beautiful school that has turned out to be. The founder of this school has a proven record of success at the school she is working at now. I have no doubt in her ability to operate an excellent IB school, but she cannot do it alone. And she needs a full team, equally invested and committed to a startup. That is why the CSD recommends that this application come back next year with a more complete written application with a full team and hopefully with demonstrations of community demand for the school, prospective parents, and tribal communities' commitment to partner. Thank you.
And I see that you've got another member that's joined us. So if you would introduce yourself and spell your name for the record in case you end up responding to something to the commissioners.
It took me a while.
Hi, I'm Dr. Brenda Arellano, Arellano.
Thank you. Commissioner Beck.
Hi again. Thank you for all the work you've done. We good?
Sorry.
Sure.
Audio.
They're taking a 5-minute break.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, everyone. And I just have a small clarification on the statement that I made that it is my understanding that the individuals responsible for the reports regarding the applications are Director Chavez and Missy Brown. So Commissioner Beck.
Yeah, so thank you so much for all the work and effort and everything that you've done. I think it's a brilliant idea. You know, I'm a big fan of IB. That we talked about that over at Bernalillo. I think it's great. I think also I think that it was great that you went back and reflected back and realized that this needs to be a very, very, well thought out, process in order to become, a successful IB school. And I really like the idea of starting off with the PYP program. That's obviously a little simpler to initiate than the MIP or certainly the DP program. But it takes a lot of pre-work, as you know, because you are principal of the IB school. It takes a lot of work to be able to make this thing work successfully. It's apparent that it's a void in this community. And I think it's great that you are looking to fill that void. So I think it's great. I must say, in my opinion, with the flip over and the changeover from what you're, because as I said, this weekend there was no good football or golf games on, so I read all the applications again. But now the application that I read really is not the program in a sense you're going forward with, which I think you've made a thoughtful decision on that. So I think you need more time to be able to really get that honed in. I think it's wonderful, but I think it takes more time to be able to create a PYP program. Specifically, I don't even know if 3 years you'd be able to do a K through 5 in the PYP program. I don't know. That would take a lot of effort, a lot of staff training, a lot of putting the pieces together for everything that's in that. So I think it's a wonderful idea. I think it's needed in the community. But I think it's premature to do it now. I would say when you go back and look on it, and I really, really, really hope you do, 2 things stand out to me. One would be, I think you need, I understand that you're getting the community within your area involved, or you're going to, or you're in the process of it. But IB is international baccalaureate. As I said, in Sandia, we have different schools around the world that we would interconnect with. Unfortunately, we didn't have the money to go there. Some of our students did it on their own because they got to get friends there. But I would look to make it truly, truly international. I did not hear enough about international outside of, us in the Western Hemisphere, et cetera. And the other thing I would emphasize, it becomes really important that in the DP program, I'm not sure about the NYP program, but in the DP program to have CAS, it's, I'll remember it here, community activity and service, to ingrain that in the kids when they're young. The community activity and service is critical to be able to do that, to step outside yourself and help others. Somehow I have quotes here, I don't know why, for today. But ex-Secretary of State Hillary Clinton said it takes a village. And to create a successful IB NYP program, it does take a village, and the world is the village. So I commend you on all the work you're doing. I hope that you continue to move down this road. I think it's really critical. And I thank you for all the work you've done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all being here today. Dr. Perea, your passion, your ambition I do not want you to go any lower. I never apologize for it. Dr. Montague, same thing, and Dr. Ariana, the idea for this school is perfect. The idea. The plan that I have isn't quite there. And so that's where that's kind of going to be the theme of where I go. Because I actually think the idea of having a multilingual international program in Bernalillo, I mean, you're spot on. I really believe that. I wish I had more data behind you and behind me to help support that, right? So that's something I would like to see more of is the families that you're looking towards, I want to hear from them more. The businesses around the community that you want to, help infuse, that you want to spread the word around. I want to see them be more involved, right? I want to see actually being a part of the community before this is real, like actually seeing the data to support, like, we're not having the promise of it. We already have it today, right? And I think that's what I think is the most, the application is a little chaotic and it's very confusing throughout it. And so I do think, like Commissioner Beck said, I think the reflections that you all have had in the past couple months of like after this initial application, and then you're like, oh, we could do that better. Oh, we could explain that better. Yep, we can do it. We see what we're talking about. I think you're right on the path of where I would love. I really, really hope that you guys come back with another application next year. I really do. I don't think this one is I think in the back of my mind, I would like to see an application where if you handed it off to a stranger, they could execute it, right? And I think that's where this application's lacking. I think it's in your heads. I think you have it, like the idea's all there, and I don't think it quite translated into a very clear, succinct program and exactly how it's going to coordinate, how you're going, like how all the pieces are going to come together. Because the one thing I will say is because you have such a great idea, it's very complex. I mean, there's a lot of pieces because you're not doing just an IB program, right? You're doing the multilingual part. You have a community that's, I'm interested what you all might think about if I'm calling it a multilingual international, but I feels like what I feel like you had the most preparation for was Spanish language learning. And I don't think I had the enough information about the other community, the pueblos and tribes in the area, how you're going to infuse those into it as well. I know that's a goal, but I don't know exactly how that would happen because I know one of the things about a lot of the communities is they struggle to have their own teachers teach their language in their own schools, right? Because it's like takes a very unique, specialized, not only skill set, but like almost a certification that an average person can't even go get, right? So I think really doing that, not just the outreach, but the collaboration ahead of time to be like, okay, we know we cannot, like, based off of the conversations I had with this community, I know we're not going to be able to provide TOA, right? Or we're not going to be able to provide X, Y, these languages, but we can very well do these languages. And having that like really clearly articulated, I think would be really helpful when it comes to the multilingual aspect of the school. Because I do think that's where in the application, I just couldn't quite get a good grasp on how you're infusing that portion. I also, when I'm going to come back to the passion and ambition and how I do not want you to go down a notch on it, because I do want you to do an IB school. Like full blown, I would love to see that in Bernalillo. Like students deserve to have that opportunity near them. And especially once again, one of the things like I told you before, I think oftentimes we'll see multilingual, bilingual schools, and that's the niche. You infusing that IB rigor into that as well, to me, that's equity and access, right? It's not telling students that because you're an English learner, because you're learning a second language, that's the challenge. That's it. We're not gonna, that's all you're gonna focus on, right? And I mean, it's a great focus, but some students need additional supports. They need additional rigor. They want to be an IB, right? They know multiple languages. They want to go international after this. So all that to say, I really do like, the way that you're able to articulate it verbally, the idea, the passion behind you, I mean, I really appreciate you all, and I'm so grateful that you're willing to even consider doing this level of effort to get there. I think it's that a data-driven, data-supported, research-supported path to success to get there, and exactly what that looks like is what I would, then I could jump on board, right? Because I would just want to have that confidence of they have a very clear pathway. They have a very clear strategy to get this. The hopes and dreams, I just would like to see them more concrete by the next time it came back around. Let me see if there was anything else. Yeah, and then with the, I appreciate you bringing more information about some of that outreach you did. I am grateful for that. Thank you. And I would just say, like, if you're going to say that you're going to bring those languages in, that you want to bring those students in, you can't take no response as an answer, right? You may have to go show up in a building somewhere, right? And be like, we need to talk to someone, right? And I would love, like, if I really am, I'm like almost begging that you come back next year. Cause I know it's not something that typically does happen. And I really hope, I mean, I feel like you all are the right people. And I think what I would have liked to have seen this year, if you could take over the next 9 months or so and getting that outreach built, making those partnerships more solidified, I think that's going to go a really long way, because I think it'll also inform the plan of how exactly you're going to do these things. And I think that's where some of that disconnect comes, is you're like, we're going to have these partnerships, or we want to have these partnerships. And so, but because because they haven't responded, because it hasn't quite happened, I think that's also where some of that feeling a little disjointed comes from, is because they haven't responded to you yet, right? And so you don't know exactly what you have access to or what you may not. And I think you do need to find that out before you say you can do it, or that you even want to, right? So you have to find out, like, are we a yes or no on being able to partner with certain areas or certain people or certain organizations? I think that can help inform how you roll out the program, if you're going to involve them, or if you're not, if you're going to make a promise to families that you're going to provide certain services, that you can actually execute them, right? So I think that's where making it, like, having the hopes and dreams and promises have to become a little bit more concrete in order for me to feel super like, yeah, they're gonna make this happen. Because I can literally see it, kind of thing. But I genuinely appreciate the passion you have, the commitment that you've shown so far. And I admire it so much. I mean, the attitude that you all have towards your students, towards your community, is exactly what I would want every school leader at every school to have. And so please do not let that go down at all. And it may just, I don't know, I don't know if it's just the way it's being articulated, or if it just needs a little bit more time and to be more thought out as well. Maybe it's a combination of both, but I would actually take, like, if it were me, I would actually look at, like, all those does not meet approaches from the original, and, like, go heavy into, like, how can we really take a look at these, and how can we rethink it, and how can we get additional support on these things. And I also think having more, like, commitments to your board might be helpful, right? So anywhere where you guys may not have the expertise in certain pieces of, like, actually leading a state charter, bring in some board members that can help support you on those things as well. Bringing in board members from the community, like you said, like, showing us, like, these aren't necessarily our best friends, but they're going to hold us accountable. Like, if you can show me that that's actually happening, once again, not like a promise that it could happen, you can show that it, like, these are the people behind me, and they're not going to let us get away with anything but excellence. And then it shows the support, the plan, that you have some additional supports behind you. It may also be worth a conversation with Bernalillo Public Schools and just talking with them, because I know that they have, you know, you might get some additional support from them with facilities, with telling you how they've, you know, tried to reach out to the community as well. Maybe not, it may not be, but it just trying to build that build the supports, build the community, and then being able to present that is where I would like to see it go. But I really do, I think your location, the idea, the vision, the mission, I think it's all in the right space and the right heart. It just isn't quite there on the concrete plan.
Commissioner Carrillo.
Thank you very much for being here. And I would echo a lot of what Commissioner Burke said relative to knowledge, passion for what you do and for the kids. So first thing I wrote this down, and this relates to what Ms. Burke said. Hope is not a strategy. So it's like and I liken things often to the private sector, and these applications is a business plan. And I'm going to somebody and asking them for $2 million to open a restaurant. I need to have a lot more in place for them to give me $2 million. And it's more than just even great food, because I've actually been in this position where you have somebody coming in, preparing everything like it's going to be, but just really having, and almost the business plan is devoid, in the private sector, it's devoid of all emotion and almost all adjectives. This is the way it is. And it's not, this is what we're going to do, but based on data, this is what, our expectation is based on the demographics of the area. I mean, there's reasons there's not a payway up here in Santa Fe, because we don't meet their market requirements. So anyone who wants to open one, forget it. It's not going to happen. Now, so hope is not a strategy. Man, I look at this and I look at the Bernalillo schools, and there is nobody that needs a school like yours more than, except maybe those, what do we call them? Charter deserts. That's the charter deserts. Those areas in New Mexico where there are absolutely no options except the district school, perhaps, or usually a Catholic school for anything. So, and I'm looking at the numbers for Bernalillo schools, and maybe with the exception of Placidas Elementary. If I were Secretary Romero, I would hold the school in the equivalent of receivership. I would take them over because they're absolute failure to educate children. And that's on, at this point, it's going on for so long, it's not just on a school board or a district, it's on PED. You know what? Take a little responsibility for districts in the state. And so, but I say that because of the need for your school in that area. It's super clear. And to have those kinds of high expectations. Relative to Bernalillo, I know one of their biggest problems is absenteeism. So what I would suggest you maybe look into, and actually Vista Grande, which is a school that came on board with us 2 years ago now, right? Yeah, no, this is their second, because I went to their graduation the other year. Regardless of what it is, what Vista Grande did to make their charter work, it's in Taos, is they integrated the tribal calendar into their own calendar. So kids weren't forced, or not forced physically, to not be at school because of their very important tribal activities that are taking place that they're very committed to because of their tribe. So that's something, because there are also so many entities in your area, something I would really look into. How do you integrate that? And one would think that Bernalillo, after all these decades, would have seen writing on the wall, hey, maybe there's a solution here if all these kids are missing because of feast days. You know what I mean? It's just so obvious. And on that one. So community demand, the community demand, I got to tell you, I'm troubled that you're the only ones here. There's nobody here speaking on behalf of your school, and there was no one online. Because generally, when a charter is at this stage, or a proposed charter is at this stage, final recommendation, it's when you're dropping back, you're on the 20, you have only maybe 2 more passes to get to the end zone, and everyone's bringing all that they've got to the table. And I'm surprised that there's no one here, and I'm also surprised at the lack of tribal input or showing up, and even at the when we had the meeting at wherever that, yeah, at the community input hearing at Santa Ana. So it's concerning. That's concerning for me. There's no question that Ms. Perea, you're surrounded by people who believe in you, believe in your vision, believe in your capabilities, but there needs to be more. It's like, I use that restaurant analogy. You know, sometimes people will tell people, well, that have people over, they entertain, oh my God, you're so good, you should open a restaurant. No, you should not. You might be a great cook and a great chef. Don't even think of it because of all of the other elements that have to be firing on all cylinders to make, I say a restaurant work, but to make a charter work, right? Having your board, at least to the extent that you have 5 people, eventually 7, really having an idea of who's committed. You know, not just showing up to an initial meeting next year, but who's committed. So obviously my recommendation is to come back. And what I'm concerned about is that I don't want a result of this meeting today to extinguish, so you're left with only an ember, to extinguish that fire that motivates the 3 of you to do this, right? Because my understanding from Chair Gibson, in your time in this work, no school has ever come back. No school has ever come back. And I gotta tell you, when they have, well, you've been here for a long time, who came back? It doesn't matter.
Dolores?
Oh, the Great Academy. Let's not open up that can of worms.
Time.
Okay. Okay, there may, okay. With few exceptions, people's light dims and goes out and they don't come back. And for the sake of your community and kids in Sandoval, or in Bernalillo County and Sandoval, I want you to keep it all alive. Okay, the kids need that. And so I want to thank you very much for all the work that you've done. In the next application, should you decide to go this route, I would not even in the application make it a K-12. I'd make it start with a K-6 and expand. You know, you don't need to start with a whole bottle of Axe. You know, I didn't start the restaurant that I opened at one time. I didn't start serving 3 meals a day. Started with 2 meals a day, and because breakfast is a big pain. And what? Yeah, but breakfast is where most people have the most complications with everything they order. And but just you know, smaller bite of the apple, because you can always expand into the middle years program and the diploma years program. And also budget-wise, really looking into really what it's going to cost getting into middle years and especially diploma years program. And where the money's going to come from? Because sometimes SEG doesn't cover all of it. I know when we opened the Mandela International Magnet School up here, when I was on the board anyway, we allotted the funds for kids to be able to go through the diploma program so that their parents wouldn't have to pay for it, because it is a significant additional expense. And taking it out of SEG for that school is kind of like, you know, allocating funds that should be over here for a select group over here. Anyway, so that's all for now. I have the greatest admiration for you, just wanting to open a charter to begin with, but also for your knowledge and passion for kids. And I really hope, I'll be here next year, so I really hope you come back.
Commissioner Brower and then Commissioner Ingham.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to the team. I've learned a lot through reviewing your application and learning from you all. And I am a huge fan of the IB program. I'm a little bit too old for that as an experience for me. Maybe it was around in the 1980s and 90s, but it's something a little bit more fresh. And I just think about how like how IB schooling can kind of be a really great substitute for like the AP program, which was just torture for me to go through that process and then not either have the money to take the course, the test, or try it out and then not be successful, and then you kind of lose a lot of the opportunity that might come from that. And so thank you for bringing this forward. I do want to say that I agree a lot with the other commissioners who have already shared, so I'm not going to belabor similar points. Commissioner Carrillo, hope is not a strategy, but it's an essential element. And it's something that as a farmer, I live by. And I think as an educator, I live by hope. Other people in this room may have used that on me as well. And I'm hell-bent on like hope is like, it can get you so many places so fast. I think that the parts that I have kind of like, I guess, tension with is what I'm hearing from you all and knowing what your experiences are and knowing your track record of leadership, and what we were presented in the application. And I do think I echo like what other commissioners have said. I think another year is great. I see this as part of the IB inquiry learning cycle for adults as well. You're going to get a lot of feedback. You've gotten a lot of feedback. You're going to get a chance to reflect on that and tune and hopefully take new action, regardless of what the outcome is today. And so I want to make sure that us as leaders, we're living out that inquiry learning cycle as we think about stuff. I do think that for me as a person, like I'm not even as a teacher, I always thought I could do a B, maybe a B+ plan, but I will get an A++ on execution because I'll be listening to the kids, I'll be engaging with them, I'll see what's going on, I'll get down with my first graders and see what's in their mind and what are they thinking about and what are their curiosities. And so for me, like, I also feel like if I felt like this, if you had a B+ plan, but you are A++ on implementation right now, like ready to go, I would feel really powerful in saying yes today. One of those pieces of implementation that I feel is missing is this room is quiet right now. The room is quiet. There's no one in behind you. There's no people. There's no people from the community. And I think that when I feel like for me, when I see like an application and you got a lot of, what was it, Karina, 51 out of 53 did not meet expectations around that. So I think for me as a person, I would say, okay, the data is that, and now I gotta fill the room. I gotta fill the room with people who see that this is a deep need in our community, and they're gonna come and speak on behalf of that. And I know there's no excuse that it's 1 o'clock, like people can come. I'm a big believer. I know it's hard for some people, but there could be some people that would show up or some people who could talk on behalf of this. And I think that that's something that I just wanted to see today. I wanted to see that. I wanted to see tribal leadership come and talk on behalf of the school. I also wanted to see, like within the application, I only see from what we're able to have, and I'm not asking you to share who else you talk to, but I also think a lot of the outreach has been to the grass tops and not necessarily down to like the grassroots, and working with community organizations, members of the community who have children who are interested in bringing their students to the school. We as a commission, we love to hear from students. When you did that, Dr. Perea, with the students that you had from your experience as an educator, that speaks to us. I also think about that playing forward, we want to hear from students and families who are saying that, I know the school is not even open yet, but I feel so passionate that IB needs to be in Sandoval County, and we're going to come and we're going to talk on behalf of that, regardless of like the politics, regardless of like sometimes I know people feel worried about talking around the current school district that they are putting their kids in. I get all that, but I think that's the challenge that I wanted to provide to you all. Like, I think that is an element that my heart, I would be really inclined, given that what I know about your leadership and your experiences and the plan that you have here with what I think would be an A+ implementation. And you had a bunch of families here that were saying that we want to see this. And you had tribal leadership here that's saying that like, we've talked with you and we want to see this, and they're ready to make this happen. That's what I feel like is one of the biggest missing elements. And that would give me even more hope to like say like, this is ready to go. Because if people aren't showing up right now, boy, oh boy, getting them to say yes to take their child to your school next year in February, March, and April, that is a lot. That is a lot. And so having them already ready to go, I think is important. And then the last thing I'll just share, I think it's important for people to show up, but it's also important to co-create and collaborate. And so it's not a meeting for informing what the school is going to be, but we're going to co-create what we can to interweave the IB curriculum within the greater community goals and dreams and hopes. Is something that I just think about for sure. And so I too hope that you embrace the IB learning cycle. I'm not yet committed to my decision yet, but I hope you embrace it regardless of what the decision is. And you can take this back. You can kind of think about like, what do we do next? Regardless of if it's the next step is we're going to have a school and we got to start really hitting the ground running. Or if it's, you're going to get a second chance to reapply. And I think it's just something that I feel would be just a really good practice for you all to think about and do. And if you have any, it's okay, Chair, if they wanted to respond too, right? That's not just us talking to them, they could respond. And so if I am wrong on not seeing any evidence around like reaching out to families, having like community meetings with families who are interested in bringing their child to your school, I'd love to hear if I'm wrong on that, or if you have any response from anything that I mentioned as well.
I would like to respond. First of all, I'm hearing a lot of really great feedback and I'm taking some good notes. So I really appreciate this. I would like to respond in particular about the community input at this meeting. Leading up to it, logistically, it has been a very confusing process. Even just understanding the date and time we were supposed to be here. It kept going back and forth when we were supposed to be here, the date and time kept going back and forth between Friday today. Our team didn't even know, I think, until maybe Monday or Tuesday exactly what date and time we were supposed to be here. So and we didn't even realize we were allowed to invite community members. So of course we were not, especially when we're trying to build relationships, we are not going to be inviting community members where we are bridging relationships and say, can you possibly show up and drive to Santa Fe? It may or may not be on Friday, it could be on Wednesday. We're really not sure. So I really want to address that because I think that's a really critical point, especially when you're building new relationships. We do understand that there is still a lot of work to do. It takes time, especially I work with Native American populations all the time. That takes a lot of work. And so to drop something on that kind of last minute, that's not the kind of positive relationship I would want to build with them. So I just want to put that out there, that there were a lot of logistical challenges, even making it to this meeting. We all have full-time jobs. I just came from some really important meetings, which this is important too, but I would like to put that out there because it's not for a lack of, not caring or not, putting it out there. But I do feel like I do want to address that elephant in the room.
Can I respond to that? And Madam Chair and Commissioners and school team, I get that what you're saying. And this is not my first rodeo on this too, and I get it. And I've worked in communities throughout the state, tribal communities too, and I understand. And I don't know about the logistics on what, if things were switching at the end, that's something that we need to think about. But I do think that doesn't necessarily hold complete water, and it's not an elephant in the room. If you looked at any other transcripts from other schools that have come up in the past over the years, there is public comment in here. Almost everyone sees that as this is the opportunity for the public to speak on behalf of what we're wanting to do. Almost no questions asked on that. And so if there was a question around what public comment was, my back to you question is, why didn't you talk to the director of the charter school division or somebody on her team, since that was something that was within your power if you didn't know about it? And so I hear what you're saying. I get it. I don't know what the last minute results were of the schedule, but I also think that doing this for a greater part of a year, I don't know. I think that there could be a couple people who could have shown up or at least come on Zoom to discuss things, even if it was last minute. These are just things that I've seen in the past, especially if you saw what the results were on the application, and you've heard, this team has heard, at least from me especially, that where is the community input? And so that would have been something for me as I planned for today. I want to figure out how are we going to show that best foot forward, and that's just something that I just wanted to share. So I hear you, and I'm not trying to get into a tit for tat conversation about it, but I do think that not having folks show up here or on Zoom today at all is something that I think could have been different, regardless of what time of the day it was, the last minute process. There should be some people who would show up and share.
Director, did you want to say something before Commissioner?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify for the record. I hear you. I think that this team in particular, because they are working, right? To open up school for the school year, had requested a specific date and time when all along the guidance had been hold these days, right? Because we don't know at any point in time if somebody drops off, then the schedule could get shuffled. But we did publish the agenda last Thursday, and it did have a specific date and time for this school. The message again was remain flexible because if something should happen that would need to shuffle things around, please keep that in mind. But it was Thursday when the agenda was published, and I know that that's not a lot of time to organize folks. It's not an excuse. I just wanted to clarify for the record the communication that was made to the schools.
Yes, I just want to say a couple things. One, I desperately want to see schools like yours get started. And I feel very uncomfortable about what's happening with this. I do want to say, I listened to what you're saying. I realize that financially, this is a very difficult thing to do. And in fact, I would say next to impossible. I would reach out and see what I could come up with additional people that could help financially your application and help that first year application budget to make sense. I realize that that's really rough order, but I would reach out to that. I do want to say I feel like well, I just want to remind you of the words you spoke during your thing, and you said this has to happen. And so I would challenge you, take those words to heart. Don't get discouraged by this. This has to happen. And I agree with you. And so I would leave you with that challenge. Thank you.
So thanks. I'm a little different than Commissioner Brower in he was interested in the curiosities and what was in the minds of his little first graders, because I taught high school. So I was less interested in what was in the minds of those high school kids. I kind of figured what was in those minds, so, but I do want to, I want to emphasize the hope piece, because I do hope that there's a possibility for this school in Bernalillo, because I see the need. I absolutely do. Every one of us sitting here are supporters of charter schools because we're wasting our time if we're not. I know the challenges of an implementation year. It's a lot. It really is. If the application was tough, the implementation year is significantly harder, because you really have to drill into those details. if you have to build out the other pieces and do the implementation year, it becomes an impossible task. You can't start, we hope to do the community outreach. Our plan is to continue this. Those systems needed to be built in before you came to us. Because it's that community that's going to help build that school through the implementation year and the connections that you've made. So that, the challenge is, I appreciate the fact that you did listen and you pivoted some with, after the community input hearing. Some of the pivot to me is a little more like a new application. It really is. We vote on the application that was submitted. And the pivots that have been made, when you say, well, we've changed our mind and we're not going to do 7 through 12 until after. Those pivots are a new application to me. And I think, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the mindset and what went into making that decision. But now you have to build out the support and how are we really going to do this? And I had said this morning with the previous applicant, the peer review analysis, and I didn't know ahead of time, but I do know now that I'm familiar with a number of those peer reviewers and have significant confidence in them. And the area that is gray is the approaches. I can go through an application and say, yeah, they said it approaches, I think it really met. Where there's less gray is when they're saying it does not meet, because it is, for the most part, missing. And that's why they're saying it doesn't meet, because it's not there. So when I went through the application, I had less disagreement with the peer reviewers in those areas for the does not meet. There was great concurrence with my review of the application. And it's not that there wasn't a lack of passion and desire to make this a great application. But I think, as Commissioner Beck mentioned, or Commissioner Ingham, you need a bigger team. It takes a lot. And I think, to me, you've got the foundation of a great idea, and there's great need in the community. But as Commissioner Brower mentioned, there was great silence today. I was quite taken aback. I don't think we've ever had an hearing for an applicant where we have not had someone speak for or against. I can't find it. So that's, to me, that does speak volumes, but it's not certainly the driving reason for any decision that I make. But to me, it speaks more to the need to build out the families for the school. Because those are the folks that are saying, oh no, I'm going to be there. I'm in my car driving my kids to school, but I'll get in and I'll say something. And you need the bigger community partners, but you need those families that are there to help build you out. And that's where I just don't think it's there yet. But I do, there is no answer for why applicants haven't come back. There isn't. And it's been a source of great consternation, because there've been some great ideas, but I think it's probably more just people get discouraged. And they feel like they've lost their hope. They lost the momentum, and I know it's tough to keep that momentum up. But it's, not a complete knockdown. And that's what I hope the message is, that this is important. It's critical to the community. The concept is supported, but it takes more than what is in the application at this point in time.
I just wanted to say real quickly, the reason why we're doing this like we're doing it is because we really believe in this. We wouldn't be giving you all that we give if we didn't want you to come back and really make this thing work, because we really, really want it and the community really wants it. And so that's why we care so much, and that's why we're trying to give you the input that we are.
Well, I move that the Public Education Commission deny the Multilingual International School new school application for the following reasons. A, the application is incomplete or inadequate in the following areas. 1, the academic framework did not provide the level of detail needed to ensure a strong plan for curriculum development and implementation, equity, graduation requirements, daily and yearly schedules, support for at-risk groups of students, and assessment. There is a lack of clarity regarding how multilingual education will be incorporated into the curriculum. What languages will be offered and utilized in a teaching of courses, or how the International Baccalaureate program would be incorporated and implemented. 2, as to organizational framework, job description, organizational charts, and professional development plans were not adequately developed. Additionally, plans for student outreach and recruitment were vague, and the lottery process was incomplete. 3, as to the financial framework, the application does not contain a balanced budget aligned to support the educational program and student needs at the school. The 9-10B5 and budget plan were incomplete and included significant errors. B, overall, the idea for the school presented in the application is sound, but the application does not fully implement or describe the execution of the idea. The application submitted by the applicant may not be the same idea as the applicant now wishes to propose.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Gibson and a second by Commissioner Burt. Any further?
Commissioner Taylor?
Oh, wait, did you want to say something? Sure.
I just want to say this is going to be like a really heavy heart today, because I do want to support the idea of this school so badly. So this is not an easy no, in coming up, but I do want you to know it like my heart's heavy. I know your hearts are going to feel some kind of way today, but I really do just want to encourage you all to continue and push and come back.
Yes. Commissioner Brower,
Yes.
Chair Gibson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Carrillo. Yes. Commissioner Manus,
Yes.
Commissioner Burt,
Yes.
Commissioner Ingham,
Yes.
Secretary Beck, yes. There are 8 votes for denial, 0 votes against. Motion passes.
I know this is hard to take, but I want to just, go go along with what Commissioner Burt said. This is not a vote to say we don't support the idea, and we truly do hope you come back. I'll be very disappointed next year if we don't see you folks. I really will.
Oh my gosh, I'm still having issues with this. Can I say something?
We are in recess until tomorrow morning.
I want to say thank you for the opportunity. Yes, it's possible that we come back. But I will say you have to revise also the process, how it goes. It is imperative to think about it because if people don't come back, it's for a reason. What are we doing wrong that people don't want to come back? And I don't know, it's not the answer. Let's find out why those applicants decide to don't come back. You have the power of that, and I will be back. You will not get ready of me that easy. I want to be here. I think they need it. I really do. But it's important that we revise, all of us, why they don't come back. With all respect to all of you, and I really, really appreciate each of you because each of you give us something very valuable for us to take care of this and develop. And when you say that you like this and you like the idea, it's powerful for me because yeah, and it's needed and it has to happen, right? Thank you. Thank
And I'm
you.
going to say we've invited them back to talk with them. Anecdotally, it's more a monetary issue. People can't afford to continue another year with it. It's just too hard. We are in recess until tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I think these have been posted as agendas. We're going to reconvene. We are reconvening tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.